Okay, good afternoon, everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm Dave Glick. I'm the executive director and owner of Triad Psych, a multifaceted clinic based in Marietta, Georgia, with offices in Atlanta, Ackworth, Carrollton, and Cartersville. And we're here talking to, and also working with people nationwide through our coaching and consulting services. So what we're doing here is I'm going to interview my staff about what it is they do, how they practice, and why it matters. So it's a getting to know you. If you're a person who's prospective looking for consulting or psychotherapy, these videos will help you get a better flavor for our staff to see if Triad is a good fit for you or not. So we're here with the most wonderful Terrance Putter, who is one of my clinicians, who came here via London, where he had a private practice in London. And Terrance has a dynamite background in neurodiversity. We got him from a specialized ABA clinic. Even though he doesn't do ABA anymore, he has a tremendous background with that. His therapy skills are fantastic. Again, he fell out of the sky, landed in my lap about, was it 2 years ago now, Terrance?
Yes, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yes.
And ever since then, patients are breaking down the door to see him. What it is you actually do, I really don't know. All I know is that people really want to see you. What you do in those sessions, I'm not sure. Every case I have sent to you, neurodiversity or depression, no matter what it is, anxiety, you have the ability to move that needle. People get better and people want to continue seeing you. So we're going to get you to share your secret today as to how you get this done and why it works. Sometimes I just think it's the British accent. You know, Americans hear a British accent. And
well, it's a mixture of two accents, obviously. It's the African one and the British one. But no, as you said, I came here 2 years ago to start off a new career or a new life here in America. And my wife and I used to obviously work in the United Kingdom. And we found that we needed to broaden our horizons in a sense. And then America, it was there. But during that time, I was in England. I adopted a child that was neurodiverse, and I needed to understand more about what the needs and what her wants were, if I can put it like that. And it enhanced my thinking, because then I decided, okay, I became a foster carer during that period, and then I was trained in certain aspects, and it made me more alert of many other things that I needed to develop. And I then therefore studied at the University of Essex. And then after that, I did my master's in Bath Spa University. And then when I came here, it was so apparent that there was a difference between how the Americans see psychotherapy and how the British do.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, and because there it's more a 6 to 8 session model that you learn from the NHS, and they focus more on the CBT itself. And I found it a little bit lacking on certain aspects. But when I came here, there was a very unique opportunity to go into ABA therapy. And I thought that would be great for me to learn a bit more from that environment. And therefore, I took that challenge. And it was an eye-opener in a sense.
I mean, if I may interject that, our backgrounds are similar in that I finished graduate school in I got out at the end of 1995, not sure what to do with myself. And an opportunity came along to work and do ABA in a variety of environments. And when the company made the pitch to me, they said, look, you're probably not going to do this your whole life, and you're only going to do ABA with certain people, but you're going to find you can be effective with anybody. That if you know behavior analysis, and I know ABA is getting a bum rap.
Yes, it does.
In a lot of neurodiversity circles, which I wish it wouldn't, but it makes you highly effective with any case you get, because we have seen such severe, intense behaviors. After doing that, no patient's going to be overwhelming for us or intimidating. will know what to do. But you talk. That's my experience. What's yours?
Yeah, but my experience was what I must honestly say. I also did find it a bit lacking in the sense of the focus was only one way in ABA. They need to develop and evolve a bit more in that sense, because they needed to bring more of the counseling aspect into it.
Absolutely.
There is a need for a bit more of development in that style. They are focused on one aspect of getting the child to do something specific, but they don't involve the whole child, if I can put it like that.
I found the exact same thing.
Yes.
Well.
And that's the only part that I found a bit daunting, is that there is no vision, if I can put it like that, that you can do more than just one thing. And it also has to be more involved with the family itself. It's not just the child, it's the family unit itself. And that's where you gave me the opportunity when I came here. And I knew this was the place that I could find the opportunity to grow in and make a difference, if I can put it like that. So my style,
you made a huge difference for a large number of people. Like I said, I don't know if there was someone called the Pied Piper. He'd play his flute, and children, well, you adults too, just would follow him everywhere.
Yeah. Yes, and the thing is, Dave, what I found is when I engage with people, the thing that I find lacking is that people don't always know about themselves, and that's where I developed my new style of working with them in incorporating many aspects. So obviously, I have written a kind of a working model for myself, which I call the Support Guide for Growth, that I am trying to develop, and just to make sure that it finds its way to the right aspect. So what it boils down to is I start with what I control, and then I go into beyond my control. And therefore, but through all these developments, when I start bringing those instruments in, I noticed that there is other things missing. And then I reminded myself of all my training. And then I'm reminded on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for instance. You needed
one of my favorite things in the world.
Yes,
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes, because there is the misunderstanding about our needs and our wants is completely wide, and therefore I had to look into that. But if you sit and you experience the person in front of you, because my style is that you would have, if I can put it in quotes, you defined in the United Kingdom as a specific trade, if I can put it almost like that. So my trade, if I have to throw it out there, was an integrated person-centered existential counselor. So it's a lot of words, but it boils down to is everything that I incorporate, my toolbox, if I can put it like that I carry with me, is what I bring to my patients where I see them, and I explore the person. So when I said, like I said, when I started developing everything, I noticed that a lot of people are not what people think they are, in the sense of I am autistic. So therefore, I've got all these traits that's in front of me. And that's not so. You're an individual yourself first. You're not a diagnosis only. And not every diagnosis what's in there is what relates to you. So you and the diagnosis must come together and develop it together and understand which parts affect you most. And that's where I started focusing on that aspect to help you grow through this process. There are obviously aspects that we go from the past and the future and all those kind of things as well. But one aspect is when you start developing yourself as a person, where do you start? And that's what I said when I start with what I control, and obviously beyond my control, and making a distinction on that. Following, obviously, as you stated, the Maslow, but then we are human beings and we have a sense of being. And then I noticed, okay, I've got virtues that I grew up with. So that must be something as well. Why is that not highlighted? And my virtues become values because that's what the world sees. And therefore, I had to go into that aspect a bit more and understand the concept. So it developed as like I said, as it went on, and the people that I interact with, they become part of me, and they help me grow as much as I grow with them.
It's always a two-way street when you're
Yes.
there. Yeah, for sure.
And I learn from them and they learn from me, but I never find that I am there to tell a person what to do, because that's not my job. My job is there to guide and to support and be there for what their needs are. And I try to provide that service. And I always try to incorporate the family with permission, obviously, whoever wants it, depending on age and all those things. And then we grow from there. And that's basically almost it. But there's lots of levels. So it's not just stopping at the virtues and the values. There is many aspects that can grow onto that, because then we have goals that we need. And after the goals, what do we need after that? It keeps on growing and growing. And if you notice, there is sometimes skills that you need to learn, like language skills. There are techniques that you have to develop. So like I said, it's not just one aspect, it's all of it that you have to incorporate. And then my thought was, where do you go from here? What is the person you want to be? You have to then actually focus on the body and the mind and the soul if it's essential. So I have focused on obviously breathing techniques that I might need, and grounding, meditations and exercises that you might need to go and explore for yourself. And so we went on to the mind, exploring all those, and then the soul itself. And that is nature, as what you experience. Some people might say spirit. So it's like I said, it's an ongoing process.
Absolutely. And you covered so many bases with that. And for one is that I agree with you that my original masters back in the late 1990s, who were ABA behavioral people, they really struggled to take into account family dynamics, personality dynamics,
exactly,
even preference. And for someone like me who was cross-trained, I remember trying to explain that to them, just didn't work. And that's why at Triad, this is a very important point, we've never embraced the BCBA model, which is the board certified behavior analyst. And that's why we haven't done it, because I didn't feel it was effective, fully effective. That we embraced what's known as an advanced practice model, that behavior analysis can be learned. It's not a complex approach. It's really, it breaks complexity into simple terms, which can be useful, but can also be dangerous if you don't understand what you're entirely dealing with.
That's correct.
So that's why we only hire people who have master's degrees or above, who are trained as psychotherapists. We make sure everyone gets the training in the behaviorism, but it's not what they lead with anymore. It's a tool they use.
It's one of the many to add.
Right, exactly. And like I said, so at Triad, it's not something we could make more explicit. I think it's on our website, but we've rejected the BCBA model because we do feel the scope is too limited, and we feel we have to work with the whole person and the whole family. Exactly. I think also, though, as the severity of individuals with neurodiversity, particularly autism, has gone way down, that ABA just isn't working for our current population. That the good news is that our society, our country got it right with early intervention services. Throwing the kitchen sink at these kids, the ages between 0 and 5, has made all the difference. And there may have been ABA at that age with the occupational therapy, the speech therapy. So we're getting much higher functioning population. And if you look at our clinic, for anyone who's a fan of Napoleon Dynamite, it's one of my favorite films in the world. I can watch it. I watch it again and again. I can't stop watching it. Every couple of months I have to watch it again. Is that we mostly work with Napoleons and Pedros, who are very charming, very good-willed, eager for change, and looking to have that therapeutic alliance, that bonding, that genuine encounter with another human being. And the ABA by itself just doesn't do that. And I also think, though, no matter what approach you use, it's the relationship that heals. It's the relationship that makes progress. So even if you are doing ABA, if the relationship with the client isn't established, it isn't warm, it's only going to be so effective. So that's, yeah, you parlayed into really a lot of what we do. So why did you become, well, you talked about why you became a therapist, because you have a daughter who's neurodivergent. So that said, I want you to tell me why your retention is so good. Why, you came to me, no one in the area even knew you. You weren't a known entity. Because most of your coursework is from England, we had issues tackling with licensure and the such, and you having the proper degree. But your practice took off very rapidly. In no time flat, you were full.
Yeah.
And even now, there's tremendous demand for people to see you. So what is your secret sauce? What is it you're doing? I mean, maybe you said it, but what is it you're doing that I can send you any type of case, any type of diagnosis, and you make progress? What's the secret sauce?
There's no secret sauce. It's just because it's between me and the patient. I believe that we have to be congruent with each other. It's a relationship that we both have to follow. If there's no trust, how can we lead and develop? And we need to find that spot first. So it's not just we run off and go and that's it. No, it's a developmental aspect. We have to make sure that we all see where we're going to and what is expected. Because if we don't have a plan, how do you move forward? Because if you don't know where you've been, how can you know where you're going anyway? And what you need to fix and how you can fix it, and even if it needs fixing. And one thing that I reminded myself of when you stated many of those aspects of what we do at Triad, the one thing I always remembered when you interviewed me and everything, you asked me one specific question regarding behavior, and you said there's, and that it always sticks with me till this date, just to remind myself every time I think about that. And that was, you said a behavior is something that we can always change. It's something that we've learned.
Right. All behaviors are learned.
And we can change that. And that was basically my concept of understanding, to bring that into practice, because even I need to change. And with everybody I change. I'm not the same person that I'm with you and with that person, because we're all different. We are individuals. We experience things differently. We see things differently. I experience things, and like I said, my background is everything. So is yours. So where do we meet? And this is the sanctuary where we come to. And that's why I try to play that part with you at that moment in time, because that is where we are supposed to be. We are supposed to be entwined in discussing what your needs are, not mine. We develop this strategy, in a sense, with each other's needs entwined, because we both grow as we go on. I learn from my patients continuously. I had a patient today that I found, that's something I didn't know. I should have incorporated it, because I did look at it, but I didn't follow through on everything. And she reminded me, and I thought, now I'm going to put that into play, and I'm going to fix something else that I didn't know. And that's basically how it grows. I learn from my patients, and they learn from me.
It really is true. And some clinicians won't admit that it's a two-way street, but we all know it is. We all know it is. Yeah. So absolutely. And I think also in therapy, if you're using traditional therapy, there's something called a calm, non-threatening presence, where you want to give the patient enough information to process, but not enough to trigger a crisis. And I think you handle that beautifully. I mean, you're incredibly poised and tactful too. Someone like me who's very action-oriented, I could be moving too fast for a patient sometimes. But I think you are the perfect fit for that.
But that's what I want to say, because when I met you, your neurodiversity itself intrigued me, and that was, if you are so successful in what you do, why do I can also try and do better? And if somebody else can put me in that spotlight as well, that I can also see that I can produce, then I like I said, we all learn from each other. And that's where I was so thankful for that opportunity, because maybe you saw something, I don't know, but I just knew you were the right fit in this environment. And that's, I
remember, because what the audience doesn't know who's watching this is that you came to me and you said, look, I'd like to work here. and I took a look at your resume. I said, you look great, but we need certain things, certain boxes checked first, which weren't easy. And then I think, was it a year later or
Yeah, a year later,
a year later, you showed up at the door again and you hold up here, I got it done. I'm ready to go to work. And, you know, we have a certain process we go through at Triad before we hire somebody. But with you, because you did so much, you got some very difficult things done. I said, well, I can't say no to you at this point. You're hired.
Yeah.
And it's been wonderful. Is it 2 or 3 years you've been with us now?
It's 2.5, or yes, or 3, going to 3 years now.
Yeah. So it's really been a wonderful fit. And so in practicing therapy, what are you most, I mean, you may have already answered it, but what is the thing you're most passionate about as a therapist?
Being there for my patients. Honestly, I try and be there as much as I can in the amount of time that we have together. I try to make sure that I am fully aware of everybody's needs at that moment in time. But we all have an off day and an on day and all those kind of things. And even if I experience an off day, my patient might lift me up myself, and they would also be there. And that is basically where I come from. And it's, but I always make everyone aware when they come in, if they feel that we're not a good fit.
Right.
You know, I'm not keeping, and there's no animosity or anything. It's a development aspect, and if they feel that they're going to feel safe and this is the environment they want to be in, then we go for that. But if there is a disconnect, then we need to assess. And if I made a mistake here, or they think that is not the right way, I adapt to what their needs are, because the end of the day, what do we want out of this? We want to make sure that the person that leaves this office feels that they received what they wanted. And I always try and focus on that, because if it's my agenda, then that's not the end goal. It's not about me. It's about my patient. It's where they want to go and how fast they want to go. How slow. It's up to them.
You epitomize, you know, what one of my other, not a behaviorist, my traditional supervisor said, look, David, you have to meet the patient where they're at. I mean, you may know what to do. You may see what's blocking the person, but can you meet them where they're at so they can move towards that? If there wasn't some kind of a block, they wouldn't need us in the first place.
Yeah.
Whether the question is, you know, what's the block? And I think what's also important, and I'm glad you brought this up, because in the current age, the current state of practice, now I've been in this business for over 30 years, and you've been in it for a great number of years too. You had a private practice in London, which is my dream to practice in London at some point. But I have been to the Freud Museum, both of them, the one in Austria and London. There's pictures in my office. That's an aside. But back to that is, if someone's not jiving with their therapist, their clinician or therapist, it seems to be they're hesitant to bring it up with the clinician.
Yes.
And instead, they just very rapidly terminate and don't come back. Or, you know, what's known in the field as premature termination. And it seems to me the incidence of that in the current era is really increasing. Whereas I think what patients need to understand is that if there's an issue in the relationship with the clinician, part of their therapy is to bring it up and see if it can be repaired, because then everyone's leaped forward one.
Yes.
So I think that's an important point too, that, you know, there's a certain burden for the patient to make it clear if something isn't working. And if they abruptly terminate and just go see somebody else, they're not helping themselves at all. Mm-hmm. Now, if you bring it up with the clinician and, you know, you're not able to resolve, you know, we have no issue at Triad saying to people, look, we're clearly not a good fit for you. How can we help? And we will refer within the practice too. We have 10 clinicians. So we can refer or refer out.
Yes, I've done that as well, because sometimes I have seen LGBTQ community patients as well, and we've got a lovely lady, Elizabeth, that specializes in that, and I have
John Mark as well.
Yes, and John Mark as well, and that's why I referred them to them, because they might have a better view of what the needs might be. And I have no animosity, as I stated, about if there is a abrupt ending or anything, but it's about the patient themselves. They must feel what they need to have in that relationship. And if they don't have that, then they have to move on to the person that might provide that to them. And that's just my view. I'm not going to keep you all lock and chain in this office. That's not my intent. My intent is to make sure that your experience is yours and what it means to you and what you want to develop through that relationship. And as you said, we've always moved people through these aspects within our own environment. But even though some do find that they do not want to stay within this environment, I've also provided them with anybody else that is outside our own development. And some of them have taken that on. But I must also be honest.
It's important. I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but for those of us who are watching this and, considering Triad for their psychological needs, I want to make this clear that at Triad, we're in the therapy business. Okay. We're not in the business of therapy. The therapy comes before the business. It's like in show business, the show comes before the business.
Yeah.
For us, the therapy comes before the business always.
Yes.
We always do what's clinically correct, not what's financially correct. So that's another good point. And we hold that near and dear. And then another point is that because I've standardized our training that everyone gets trained in the Triad approach, which is a three-pronged approach of behavior analysis, traditional psychotherapy, and skills acquisition. But then everyone has their own different specialties. We have Christian counselors. Yes. We have LGBT specialists. We have a sports psychologist on staff. So we can also team up. It's very common that we'll have a patient be working with two of us at the same time. And it's great because we can collaborate. We can read each other's notes. Often I get cases where someone is dealing with different therapists within the family or within themselves, and they're very separate. That hurts progress if they're not communicating together.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because within our, as you stated, in our environment, we have a family member with another clinician and so on. But there's always the autonomy for that person inside there, that their information stays with them. We don't express any of the personal aspects when we discuss. It's only the problem where we need to collide with the other faction, if I can put it in that sense. And we collaborate according to that. And regarding collaboration is that we have a discussion with the patients themselves. They have to agree that this is what the way they want to do it. We don't just talk about everybody else around here. No, that doesn't work that way. We actually ask the patient itself, is this what you want, before we invent anything and discuss anything with anybody else. So just have to make sure that everybody understands, even though when we collaborate, it's a intertwined discussion with the patient and their needs and where they want to go. And that's very important because being, as you stated, doing those kind of interventions, we develop ourselves so much more, and that's why it's almost like a family practice, if I can put it like this.
Really, that was always my goal.
Yes, because we all of our clinicians, we innately enact and spur each other on, and with our patients, and that just helps. And if there is something that we don't understand, we learn from each other. And that's the great part. Dave, you're always there, as you know, for a little ear on the sideline. If you have a struggle or something, you're always there to guide me. So it's like I said, you always help. So, and that's what it is. And it's not just you; every other one in the environment. So that's why I find it so wonderful with our own community within Triad.
Right. So I'm also a police clinician. I have a strong police psychology background, and in my work, especially with the DEA, the program was nothing short of amazing. And a big core aspect of the program was that everyone has to feel they're supported 120%, and that includes the clinicians. So I always felt I had a huge team of people behind me and all the support I needed, as well as, resources in terms of money. But that's exactly all of our clinicians, if they need consultation or supervision, it's not just about giving them information, giving you information. It's that you have to feel supported so you can be confident in doing what needs to be done. We don't like a triad bringing people in and saying, well, this is outside my scope, or, this is too much for me. We don't like doing that. That we want to make sure, because the triad indicates control. We want to make sure we've made progress. We put a very high value on results. Now, I think the difference is between me and you is that I'm a little more aggressive with this, but I think you have this very calm presence. You're very, very good at, again, meeting people where they're at and moving forward when they're ready to do it. And you tend to get terrific buy-in. And your group, you do have a group for young adults who are neurodiverse, which has gone very well. And you're just, we're getting it done.
Yeah, thanks.
So before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I must add that if I ask you, the patient itself, if you feel like there is nothing that if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm open to change. Honestly, I am. But if there is a situation that I feel I'm not providing that service, I would mention that to you, and I would ask your permission to know what more I should do or provide you for. And if there is nothing that I can guide, you're more than welcome to make that decision for yourselves. And I always provide all the resources, if I could, and what you might need. And that's what I try and do. I always try and make sure that whoever sees and needs our assistance in this organization, that we're there for them, and we can provide any other references, anything you might need. That's my motto. Be there if I can, and if I'm sorry if I'm an hour or two late, perhaps, but we'll always try to get right back to you.
Yes, that's another good point. And a plug for our clinic is that we invest heavily in our infrastructure and our back office operations. So we have a live answer. If you call the main number, we have a live answer every day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have a full-time claims and financial person who gets on things quickly. We also have a very capable software management where patients can make their own appointments, a very secure email system. And the beauty of that email system and why it's so much better than regular email is that any message you send on it automatically gets uploaded to the chart.
Yes.
So we have that in the chart. And it just really makes for more succinct practice as well. And also the way the system works, the therapy appointment system, is that if our clinicians are on this software every second that they're working, even when they're not working, and then that message comes through, so it doesn't get lost with a bunch of other emails. We know it's a patient who has a need and something has to be done. So that's another good point. We're always looking to leverage technology as much as we can to streamline things. And it makes a big difference. And we want, what we do at Triad is we provide a Cadillac, or there's a better, so we provide a champagne experience on a beer budget. So there's an expression, where I grew up, there's an expression, the problem with this person is they have a champagne appetite and a beer budget. But, we do take all the major insurance carriers. A lot of people in our space don't, but we do, because I came from a managed care background and know how to make it work. And we've been doing it for 23 years, and with people like you, we'll continue to do it.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you. This is the most wonderful Terrance Putter at Triad, and we're going to sign off now. And thank you for watching, wherever you are that you watch this. Again, we are based in Metro Atlanta, and we serve people nationwide through our coaching and consulting services too. Thank you, Terrance. Have a great long weekend.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.